Now,
watch
Steve
what this
Bannon is
man
showing one way in
says.
which Donald Trump will try to maintain power for as long as he's alive. And here's what he had to say.
Well, he's going to get a third term. So Trump 28. Trump is going to be president at 28. And people just ought to get accommodated with that.
So what about the 22nd Amendment?
There's many different alternatives. At the appropriate time, we'll lay out what the plan is. But there's a plan, and President Trump will be the president in 28. We had longer odds in 16 and longer odds in 24 than we got in 28. And President Trump will be the president of the United States, and the country needs him to be president of the United States. We have to finish what we started. And the way we finish it through Trump. Trump is a vehicle. I know this will drive you guys crazy, but he's a vehicle of divine providence. He's an instrument. He's very imperfect. He's not churchy, not particularly religious, but he's an instrument of divine will. And you can tell this of how he's pulled this off.
Now, I want to come back to this video.
Did you hear what he said? He said he is an instrument of divine will, an instrument of providence. That man is not lying, though. As twisted as it sounds, he is Nero. He is the end. When Trump first came out and I think he at first got inaugurated, his theme music was Ender's Game. Like, did nobody catch that? Was I the only person that caught that? It was the theme music from Ender's Game. So that right there lets you know the mindset. He's set up to do this, and he knows it. Divine providence, he's meant to do this. He's not too churchy, meaning he don't believe in what you believe in. He's faithless. He know he ain't going to heaven because he Nero. He Esau. He's Satan incarnated. So it's like, why? What? He's doing his job. The devil's manifesto.
Come back to this video, but I do want to quickly point out that someone who knows authoritarian movements like the back of her hand, this is what she does. Ruth Ben-Ghiat said, "This is creepy. In Strongmen, I state that propagandists present autocrats' actions as, quote, sanctioned by a higher power and the fruit of, quote, divine blessing." So they are following the autocrat authoritarian playbook by saying that Donald Trump is empowered by God to remain in power.
We need him for at least one more term, right? And he'll get that in 28.
You're not driving me crazy. I'm trying to understand the coherence of the things you've just told me in the last few minutes. On the one hand, you've said the Constitution is fit for purpose. Secondly, you've said that President Trump needs another term, even though the 22nd Amendment makes pretty clear that he cannot have another term.
Why does it make that clear?
Because he's on his second term already.
At some point in time...
By the way, love this reporter. Notice how it's always, I've said this a million times in the channel, notice how it's always the English, European reporters who are pushing back on these folks. I wish Americans could do this. I wish they could do this, but thank God someone is.
Through Zanny and define all those terms.
But even if you find a way to undermine you will be undermining the spirit of that amendment, even if you find some way around it. And to those
if the American people, with the mechanisms that we have, put Trump back in office, are the American people tearing up the Constitution? Would that be tearing up? Would the American people be going against the spirit of the Constitution, ma'am?
I think yes, actually, because I think what you will end up with is a populist justification for a quasi-dictatorship.
That's not true at all.
Trump is what it sounds like.
Trump is a dictatorship. Did you just see the compromises he had to make on the big, beautiful bill? You see the compromises he has to do on everything, on accommodating Zelensky, on what President Trump is nothing but a series of negotiations to kind of keep this thing rolling forward, where he's having trade-offs all the time.
Steve, you've just spent the last 20 minutes telling me we have to smash the other side. There's no room for debate. There's no room for compromise. We must smash them. And now you're telling me this is a negotiation. I mean, that's
no. On his policy. First off, the only way President Trump wins in 2028 and continues to stay in office is by the will of the American people.
That's a lie.
Not true. We've shown that Donald Trump is trying to set it up so that elections might not matter. Now, I do believe,
so elections don't matter.
This is what I want to talk about, is if we voted in record numbers, they on the right
Anyway,
said too big to
a
rig.
coup has to happen, and a coup is about to happen. Hold on, we're about to get to this. We are about to get to it. Because if he can invoke MLAW, then that'll keep him in there. That's all he need is a reason. Just give it one reason to stay here.
Yeah, please. Do you feel any urgency to end the shutdown in the next week, 2 weeks, or would you be fine if this stretches into November and then toward the holidays with folks not getting paid?
Well, you know, shutdown, we've had many, many shutdowns, and this is a shutdown that shouldn't have happened. A group of people brilliantly decided to make it after the election. I said, thank you very much. In other words, give it to Trump instead of Biden. So it shouldn't happen. And likewise, debt ceiling shouldn't have. But the big, great, big, beautiful bill solved the debt ceiling problem for.
Is there a point where you would reach out to?
No. Here's what's happening in the shutdown, though. Honestly, can I put it in plain words for you?
You're bragging on it.
And you're a smart guy, so you'll understand. But a lot of people don't. The Democrats are getting killed on the shutdown because we're closing up programs that are Democrat programs that we were opposed to. So we're being able, and they're never going to come back in many cases. So we're being able to do things that we were unable to do before. So we're closing up programs that are Democrat programs that we wanted to close up or that we never wanted to happen, and now we're closing them up. And we're not going to let them come back. The Democrats are getting killed. And we're going to have a list of them on Friday, closing up some of the most egregious, socialist, semi-communist, probably not full communist, we're saving that for New York, but semi-communist programs. And we're closing them up. We're not closing up Republican programs because we think they work. So the Democrats are getting
What
killed.
Republican
but they're not telling
programs?
the people about that. I say
What do y'all
nobody-
have for the
well, I haven't
people?
said it probably
Nothing.
as bluntly as I just said it. But so we are closing up Democrat programs that we think that we disagree with. and they're never gonna open
Both
again.
ends of this bird is dirty. It don't
Thank
matter.
you very much. Yeah, please.
Do you feel any
Okay,
urgency?
so wait, that's that, right? That's that.
Right before they sent the president out to hold this.
Hold on, wait. Before we even get to her, we have to go to this guy.
What the hell are Republicans so afraid of? What the hell are you so scared of that you guys are holding this hearing at 1 o'clock
In the morning.
It's a simple question that speaks to the heart of what's going on here, and one that I'm going to keep on asking. If Republicans are so proud of what is in this bill, then why are you trying to ram it through in the dead of night? If you guys are so proud to kick 14 million people off Medicaid, if you guys are so proud to rip food assistance out of the refrigerators of moms and dads and their kids, if you guys are so proud of shutting down rural hospitals and hurting our farmers, if you guys really think these are such great, awesome, beautiful things to do, like Trump keeps saying, then why not hold this hearing at 1 p.m. and not 1 a.m.? This is not normal at all. This is a 1,000-page bill, for God's sake. 1,000+ pages, and you want to shove it through in the dead of night. Because Trump said, close your eyes and vote for it. You're using emergency procedures to jam this through Congress to meet an artificial deadline that you created yourselves because the billionaires just couldn't wait for their tax cut.
Yep.
What the hell are Republicans so afraid of?
They want that money. They want that money. And everybody could die. I don't care.
If you go to
They
China,
don't care. They want that money. And they're going to get it.
Right before they sent the president out to hold this partisan political rally with active duty U.S. Navy sailors in Norfolk this weekend, right before that trip, the Trump administration, for some reason, fired the U.S. Navy's chief of staff. And I have to say, it did not make a ton of news when that happened. I think in part because this is one in a long series of firings like this now, right? The military, by definition, is not a political body where the whole thing is supposed to turn over every time there's a new president. Right? Since Trump has been back in office, he has just been destroying the top leadership of the U.S. military. Since
Watch
Trump has been
this.
back in the White House, we have seen fired or pushed out the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, the head of the Navy SEALs, the chief of naval operations, the head of the Navy Reserve, now this weekend, the Navy Chief of Staff, the head of U.S. Cyber Command, the head of the Defense Intelligence Agency, the Commandant of the U.S. Coast Guard, the Chief of Staff of the Air Force, the Vice Chief of Staff of the Air Force, the head of the Air Force Global Strike Command, the top legal officer in the Air Force, the top legal officer in the Army, the top legal officer in the Navy. And in what may or may not be related news, the New York Times reports tonight that they have also removed the top legal official at the CIA. Because why not?
Because why not?
All of these people have all been fired or pushed out by Trump, by the Trump administration. While simultaneously, Trump, as of this past week, is explicitly telling all the remaining top generals and admirals in the U.S. military that he wants them to plan to bring U.S. military operations. He expects them to bring the force of the U.S. military to bear against Americans at home in U.S. cities. Specifically, he told them that he wants to see U.S. troops, U.S. active duty military engagement against the cities of San Francisco, Chicago, New York, and Los Angeles. New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles are the three largest cities in the country. Trump wants the U.S. military to operate in those cities against the Americans who live there.
Yeah.
Right before they sent the president out to hold this partisan...
Y'all heard that. And me and my brother were having a conversation, and he was basically like, any young person that's being signed up for the military or drafted to the military right now, they might not necessarily have to go fight outside of America, because they're going to be fighting us here in America through the little thing called urban warfare that they were training for, and they've been training for. So you're going to have the youth riding on grandma. You best believe that is what's coming. I gotta go. Shalom.